Hey, family. Tacc, man. Give me a minute. I got to do a few things, but I'm coming. Sorry for not being here last night. Got back home late, and I was in the cab for 2 hours. So, but back is killing me. But I'm here tonight. Give me a minute. Let me do a few things. Give y'all some time to come in. Y'all know the platform is Tacc. Through adversity comes change. And the only way that you can make change is to face your reality. Think about that. Mm. Move. And uh, yeah, put these headphones I got. Let me try to get them on. Testing, 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 testing. One, two. Are we on? Are we on? Are we on? Okay. I think we connected. What we're doing. Okay, we on. We on. I think these things are working. As you know, this is called Tacc. Through adversity comes change. And the only way we can make change is go through it. A little bit more about myself. Um, like I tell you, the youngest of three. Uh, I had a very, very good life though, with all my shortcomings and low self esteem and everything else. I had a pretty good life, I must admit, and as I got older and understood about self esteem and things like that, I realized when you have low self esteem, you want to be wanted by people who really don't care about you. And you do things to appease them. But as you get older and you learn, you know, it's no longer about that. When you become conscious, you don't even want people like that in your circumference, because you know it's not real. But the beautiful thing about it though is that it's a part of the lessons that we have to learn, part of the things that we have to go through in order for us to I just put show comments on stage. So like, subscribe, come on in, talk to me. Okay. Yeah, but back to what I was saying. Uh Once you learn that in life, your peace is everything. Like I tell you, I was able to find my peace after almost 60 years, and it was a blessing to be able to, after going through all the things I've gone through, and be able to see, life for what it really is. It's an amazing thing. Like, I don't even know how to describe it, like, because it's a thing where you no longer look at life the way you looked at it, but you don't judge. You see people for who they are. You see life for what it is, but you don't judge. And that's the great thing about it. You no longer how can I say, you no longer pass judgment. You just see life and people for what they are and who they are. Because one thing for sure, two things for certain, life will teach you without you participating, and people will show you without you participating. So it's up to you to figure out your way in life. That's what I said. Your choices shape your adversities. Your adversities are your lessons that get you to your blessings. You have to make right choices, and in doing so, you're going to make mistakes as when you're young. You're going to make a lot of mistakes when you're young. It's when you get older that you understand, like, certain things I just don't do, I can't do, don't want to do. And when you find them things, like I tell people, I no longer feel comfortable with doing wrong things. It doesn't feel good no more. Whereas before it was like, sky's the limit. But now you know, it just doesn't feel right to my spirit. Like like I tell you, when you start to vibrate on a different level, and this is all about growth. This is about through your adversities, change takes place. When you vibrate on a different level, you can see life a little bit clearer. You can see people for who they are even before they get to you. And you know how to characterize or deal with them or put them where they need to be, because you see that it's only with truth that you're dealing with. And most people don't deal with truth, and it's sad because, you know, a lot of people say, this, that, and the other. But, we have been taught to act a certain way, not just black people, white people, Spanish people. This thing is deeper than you could possibly even imagine. It has so many layers, of the manipulation, just like we see in our government. Our whole government is compromised, and it's blatant, but that's not what this program is about. But I'm just showing you the different parameters of life. Whereas, you may have grown up one way and you see life for what it is. And I may have grown up one way and I see life for what it is. But when you can all see the same thing and nothing is done, that's that's an atrocity. But it is what it is. But the beautiful thing about it, there's a God, and He sits high and looks low. So He handles, what we can't. But my whole mission is to help us to make change in our lives, because we've been lied to so much, and just not us, everybody. Anytime you have one set of people thinking that they're better than this set of people, and this people feeling they're inferior, then something is wrong. We're all one. Until we understand that and come together, we're going to be lost, and they're going to be able to manipulate us. It is what it is. I didn't make the rules. Excuse me. And this is why I say we have to heal before we do anything. We cannot come together. We cannot learn. We cannot make money. We can't do anything until we heal. And this is what this platform is about. 5 principles, 3 articles, one healer, helping everyone accept, achieve, and appreciate love. Who doesn't want love? This is the strongest force in the universe. Love can make you the happiest, it can make you the saddest. It's up to you. But love is God and God is love. And if you do it right, it's a beautiful thing, and if you do it wrong, it's what it is, you know. But my thing is, we have to really reflect. We have to start doing the things that we need to do as a people, and it's not about color. And this is how we're divided. The right thing is the right thing. Every prophet, messenger that came preached the same thing, righteous, doing the right thing, no matter what, because God is watching. And those angels on both sides are taking note. And if you have made mistakes, there's always room for repentance, asking for forgiveness. But you have to be able to see your faults in order for you to ask for it, you know? And this what this book and this program will do. It'll help you reflect and look at the things from your past and understand that all that was lessons to get you to your blessings. And a lot of times we take it to heart, but it's not for us to take to heart. It's for us to absorb, learn from it, and move on. Like I tell you, everything God put you through is to get you strong enough so you can deal with the things that He has for you in the future. Nothing is easy. And you must understand that nothing in life comes easy. And anything good worth having is worth going hard for and working for. And then the ones who win are the ones who go the extra mile, and that's what I try to do. I try to go the extra mile, because average is not gonna cut it, and with the understanding that I've acquired in my life, going through all the things I've gone through and not being bitter, it's like, I'm kind of proud of myself for that. A lot of times people, oh man, you're supposed to be. No, that's not what it's about. It's about understanding, getting your lessons out of it and your blessings and moving on. Life is a journey that you take step by step. You can't go past nothing. You have to one foot in front of the other. You know, it's just how it goes. And you have to be patient. You have to understand that, it's a bigger picture, especially when you're trying to do something positive. It's not gonna be easy. It's gonna take time. It's gonna take people to really see movement. And like I used to tell you when I used to do my lives in Jersey, it's gonna take a a, a bunch of people to come in and be a part. When see people see what's going on, then they'll be like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I want to be a part of this." If they are receptive, but what I have to give, I'm pretty sure that if you're a person who wants to heal, this is for you. You're a person who wants to change, this is for you. You know, you're a person who wants to have peace within, this is for you. It done it for me, and it's a blessing. It's a blessing. You know, but what can I say? Like I told you the other day, we're gonna start at chapter 8, the future, understanding the horizon ahead. Understanding isn't prediction; it's perception shared by faith, sharpened by faith. Excuse me. And I gotta let y'all know I'm dyslexic, so sometimes I see letters backwards. Understanding isn't prediction; It's perception sharpened by faith. So it's what you perceive that's sharpened by your faith. You stop asking what's next and start asking what's right. Like I said, doing the right thing. It feels better doing the right thing. You've gathered knowledge, learned patience. Now you see patterns that once just felt like pain. Understanding turns chaos into clarity. Like I tell you, somebody else came in. Let me know. Put your comments up. Like, subscribe, talk to me. Um, when the understanding turns into clarity, this is like I tell you, you go through past, present, future. Future is understanding. By the time you get to here and you go through all your what's, when's, where's, why's, how, and sometimes who, the clarity of the understanding of, like I tell you, you made a mountain out of a molehill and it was always in here. It was never the reality of what it was. But it took for you to go through the process in order for you to make the changes so that you can understand and get the clarity that you need. Quran 93:7, and he found you lost and guided you. Meaning, they went out. Uh, Meaning, you know, once you start to understand and you get clarity, you find the guidance you need to make it through. God doesn't reveal the full road, just enough light for the next step. Just think about that. It's because if God gave it to you all at once, you wouldn't be able to accept it. You'll be thinking that you God. Like I said, we would love to live our lives backwards, but we must live it forward to get the lessons and the blessings. And it takes time. You learn through going through life's trials and tribulations. God doesn't reveal the full road, just enough light for the next step. That's mercy, not mystery. If we saw everything at once, we'd stop depending on Him. Like I just got through saying, we must go through it, to see His picture in order for you to make the right changes in your life. The lens of faith. The future isn't waiting somewhere far off. It's being shaped by what you believe today. Faith is the lens that turns confusion into calling. Just think about it. What you believe, anything the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve. And when you follow your faith, when it's right, it's going to take time. But as long as you stay persistent and consistent, you're not going to fail. It's just how life is. You're not going to fail. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Proverbs 3:5. And see, when you put your faith in the Most High, keep Him first, pray, do what you must do, life becomes easy. It's like a roadmap. When you start living right, things just happen the right way. And I didn't make this up. This is how life is. Einstein said the most incomprehensible thing about universe is that it is comprehensible. He has described divine order without using the word divine. Every moment you choose trust over control, you participate in that order. Just doing the right thing, making things right. and just living it, believing in it. You know, it's all up to you. The architect of hope. The future doesn't build itself. You build it with what you think, say, and sow. Hope isn't a wish, it's a work ethic. See that again. Hope isn't a wish, it's a work ethic. See, when you put the work in, like I said, it's going to take time. It's going to be harder. But when it pays off, it's going to be a very, very great blessing and a hell of a lesson. And just, and like I said, I don't make these things up. It's just how life is. Do not despair of the mercy of Allah. Quran 39:53. Because He's always watching. When you start treating hope as strategy, everything changes. You plan with purpose instead of fear. You plant ideas expecting harvest, meaning you put something in it and something's going to come out. Whatever you harvest will be what you put out. Like I said, going the extra mile. This is what it's all about. The faithful don't wait for signs, they create them. And I always tell people this. Like I'm being held down by this, held down this, that, and the other job. No, you get out there and do what you have to do until you can do what you want to do. You make your destiny, you know. And I always tell people, and it's sad that I have to put it through this way because I associate it with coming home from jail. But every time I come home from jail, I get myself in a very good position because I go after what I want, you know, and I don't let nobody dictate my life. I dictate my life. You know, what goes bad is on me. What goes good is on me. But it comes from God. Everything comes from Him. The faithful don't wait for signs, they create them. Every act of kindness, every decision made in integrity becomes the blueprint for the future worth living. You see what that said? Made in integrity, living right, doing the right thing, no matter what. You live right. Every act of kindness, every decision made in integrity. That means scruple, morals, and principles, something that we're lacking in our government and around the world. And also and like it says, becomes blueprint for a future worth living. When you live right, your life becomes manageable, and you live a certain way, and life just does what it does. You know, it works in your favor when you're living right. The clarity after confusion. Understanding arrives when resistance leaves. And what that's saying is you have to stop fighting it. You know, you have to stop fighting it. What used to feel random begins to rhyme. You start to see how every closed door guided your steps, how every unanswered prayer protected your path. And I know a lot of y'all can testify to that. You know, your prayers is strong. You know, prayers are very, very strong. You know, we gotta uh, ask for forgiveness as well as pray. You know, we need them all. All things work together for the good of them that love God. Romans 8:28. And I know y'all probably say, oh, this is a religion. No, it's not, because I got Bible, Quran, philosophers, you know, it's just I'm showing everybody who is positive, no matter how, different they are, positivity comes from positive people. That's not poetic, it's practical. Once you understand peace replaces panic. Once you understand peace replaces panic. And you stop needing to know how because you finally trust who? You in the Most High. Chapter 9 H. Help. The first hand extended. Help is the hinge of humanity. It's the act that keeps the world from collapsing into itself. You learn after enough storms that strength was never meant to be solo. The believers are but brothers, so make settlement between your brothers. Quran 49:10. Meaning, you have to come together. We can't do it alone. We have to do it together as a collective. But once we do it together, man, we have to really do it. And the only way you're going to do it is you have to be sincere. You really have to be sincere. This is not going to work for anybody who's not sincere. Even God designed interdependence. Trees, meaning like we got to have trees in order for us to breathe, and trees need us to get what they need. Trees breathe out what we need. We breathe out what they need. Every creation is a prayer answered through another. Help isn't charity, it's connection. Like I said, we must help everyone who wants to be helped. And the only way we can do that is just by helping, doing the right thing no matter what. It's what happens when compassion grows legs, the weight and the reach. Sometimes asking for help feels heavier than giving it. Pride hides behind independence. What I always tell you, God says, not an Adam's way to pride get into the paradise. And what hides in pride? All kinds of things. Let me say this again. Pride hides behind interdependence, whispering, I'm fine, but nobody heals alone. We must do it together. Through adversity comes change. The only way I can help you is if we work together. We don't work together, it can't never happen. Help builds bridges pride would have buried. Let me say that again. Help builds bridges pride would have buried. Figure that one out. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "None of you truly believes until he loves for his brother what he loves for himself." That's the blueprint for community. We got to do it together. Can't do it alone. It's not going to work. The circle of strength. When you help someone else, you strengthen yourself. Like it feels good to me when I can help someone else, man. To be able to put a smile on somebody else's face, on somebody else's heart, man. And I've always been that way, you know, because I come from a mother who was a very giving person, excuse me, and I seen how she put smiles on people's faces, and that was something I always strive to do, whether it been from cooking or whatever, a kind word. And in Islam, that's part of our way of life. You must, be kind. Giving and receiving are two sides of the same grace. Martin Luther King Jr. called it an inescapable network of mutuality. He was describing the spiritual ecosystem we all live in. Let's think about it. If you give thanks, I will surely increase you in favor. Quran 14:7. Meaning, you pray, ask for forgiveness, and be appreciative to what God gives you and what He don't give you. He's going to give you more. The world isn't waiting for heroes, it's waiting for helpers. Because every act of help, no matter how small, becomes proof that good still outweighs evil. And it's going to always be that way, no matter what. The devil may think he's winning, but like I tell people, God tricked him when he gave him respite. Because what do? We revert right back to God when we get older and we get tired of doing the things that we know we're not supposed to be doing. Just think about it. 40, 50, 60, 70, we revert back to God. That's his blessing to us. The return of grace. Help always circles back. Maybe not for the same hands, but always for the same heaven. What you give becomes what grows. Jesus said, give and it shall be given unto you. He wasn't talking about money alone. He meant mercy, patience, forgiveness, time. The hands you use to lift others will one day lift you. That's the law of love in motion. Just think about it. When you raise your children, hopefully one day those same hands that you raise will come back and raise you when you need them. And that's just how life goes. You know, but the beautiful thing about this, and I tell you guys, we have to come together. We have to heal. Until we're able to heal, we're not going to make it. Trust and believe that. Because united we stand, divided we fall. And they have us divided. It's so bad to where it's basically it's nothing we can do. But it is. And people are showing. You know, my thing is we have to come together. We have to heal. We have to learn the truth from the lies in order for us to be able to do the right thing in our lives. We have to. It's no other way, and I just pray that one day we could all come together and live right, you know. And it's not hard, but you have the few who live the way they live and they've made it a part of our lives. But we have to do better. We have to do the right thing no matter what. Because as I always say, God is always watching. I'm going to end it for now, but I'll be back tomorrow and we're going to go from 10 on up. You'll have a blessed one. Peace.